saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown.
God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to scream, y'all. I want to scream, y'all. God has smiled on me. He has set me free.
God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me.
Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's done good to me. Let me tell you, everybody, sometimes, everybody, I feel so good. Oh yeah, one more time, yeah. Every day of my life, I feel it. You give me strength and energy. Help me to sing. He's been good to me. Oh yeah.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton of Brooklyn, New York. I've been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people, and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how it started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. Trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King saying,
God has smiled on me. He's been good. Let me tell you, smile on me. You've been so good to me.
then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us.
Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. Yeah. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free.
been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how it started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King saying,
God has smiled on me. He's been good. Let me tell you, smile on me. It's been so good to
then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us.
Let me say it. God has smiled on me.
September 23rd. Do you know what time it is? It's Earl Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York for the next 3 hours. You can join the conversation. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can tweet us or go on the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and put in a message and I will read it. I see Georgia Daniels already on the message board. Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. Let God continue to smile on you as you support humanity, keeping it real in positive power. Love that message. Thank you for it. And Dahl is writing, good morning, Reverend Sharpton, and chat watching from Los Angeles, California. I'm glad you're on, Dahl, from L.A. Reuben Powell says, good afternoon, Reverend Al. Today is my birthday, 65 years old. God is with me, bless me to see my 65th birthday. Well, keep on getting them birthdays. That's great. And Happiness Donut says, call in America and get it off your chest. Free speech. Yes, you are absolutely right. A lot of people already on the John Gaylord says, get him out. I'm going to try. And that Stephon Morris is saying, am hearing around Atlanta metro area young people saying they staying home if Democrats doesn't step up. And let me answer that this way, Stephon. I think that we are hearing that a lot. I think it's justified that Democrats need to be challenged. But I also think that if young folk had stepped up, we wouldn't have Trump. So they've got to, yes, put some blame on the Democrats, but they got to put some blame on themselves, especially those polls that say young black men went up 20% voting for Trump. So I ain't one to not challenge the Democrats, but I'm also challenging the enablers, particularly the young black men that voted for Trump or didn't vote at all. So I think that cut both ways. You know, people tell me all the time, stop me in the street, want to talk, and I like to engage with people. And people say, man, what's wrong with the Democrats? And I said, they need to fight. That's why I'm out here every day, airwaves, speeches, whatever, sermons, rallies. We the only ones did a big march. He says, yeah, this, that, and the other. They can give me a litany of reasons that they're disgusted with the Democrats. I said, oh, by the way, did you vote? And they put their head down. So why would anybody listen to you? You're not voting against them, Democrats or Republicans. You pose no threat. None. Because you're not in the process. And whether you like it or not, the process is going to decide the very things you worried about. Let me get this right. You want people to be more concerned about you than you are about yourself. And that makes sense to you. Because if you care about yourself, you care about your Medicaid, you care about your jobs, you care about this stuff they saying now that's being disputed about autism coming from Tylenol. You'd care about all this. Now, if you cared about it, you don't drop out of participating, you drop in. You don't stand outside the house and say, the house is on fire, my loved ones are inside, why ain't somebody putting that flame out? No, you be grabbing a pail of water or whatever else you could get to put the flame out. So, I mean, let's be serious. I think real problem that a lot of people have is they hold everybody accountable but themselves. This one didn't do this, and this one didn't do that. And I think we all need to be challenged. And those that didn't vote at all, Barbara Mason said they didn't vote at all here in DFW area. Our black men, and in parentheses adult, spewed negativity about former VP Kamala Harris. Not only that, they started in on Joe Biden. I heard all over the country. You're absolutely right, Barbara. And I saw most of the interview with Kamala Harris last night with Rachel Maddow, and I was with Kamala Harris Sunday night, about an hour and a half, and I posted on Instagram a picture of us talking. And I think she showed courage in her book. She came out and said that she should have thought of the bigger picture, and rather than not wanting to spare Biden's feelings, and told him it should not have been just a personal decision. I thought that was interesting. She also said that her first choice as running mate was Pete Buttigieg, but she didn't think America was ready for a black woman and a gay white man. She also said that she only had 107 days, and the crowd around Biden was taking shots at her. So I want to hear from you on what you think of what Kamala said. Some people said she's wrong, that Biden should have stayed in. Some say that she's wrong, wasn't her place to tell him to get out. Others saying she should have told him. Others saying that the team around Biden shouldn't have been involved after he was gone. What do you think of her first interview and what she had to say? Let's talk about all of that. And President went to UN today, spoke an hour or so ago, and people were saying, I was saying, what did he say? Oh, he complained the elevator broke down, and he complained that the teleprompter didn't work. And so he went in there mocking them. I said, and they should have got up and said, and you won't pay your dues to the UN because you don't agree with the UN. Maybe if you paid your dues, we could have everything working right. That's why they're careful let me in certain rooms, because I got one waiting. I always keep a bullet in the chamber. This is insane. We're dealing with a war in Ukraine that his buddy Vladimir Putin has escalated. We're dealing with the war in the Middle East, where his buddy Netanyahu has increased the casualties of innocent children in Gaza. And you worried about the escalator didn't work? And you're on the world stage now. You're on the world platform, United Nations. And you talking like y'all are on the golf course somewhere. And what is more troubling to me, more disturbing, is that Americans have become increasingly normalizing that. Don't even feel embarrassed. I mean, it should be embarrassing to us that he's up there talking this crazy and supposed to be the president of our country. Happiness Donut says we first have to question who are raising these young folks to have a no voting mindset. Unbelievable in this day and age. I think she's right. Absolutely right. I mean, and let me tell you something. If you, I was telling some young people the other day, if you can master technology, they know how to fix this and fix that, and they on everything you can think of, perplexity on AI, they on Google, they on Facebook, they on Instagram, but you can't figure out how to use a ballot box, or you don't want to. I don't know how to vote. Well, you know how to do 30 different things on your cell phone. So what are we talking about? You do what you want to do. And when you don't do anything, you open the door for people to do it to you, and they gladly will, because you gave them the opportunity. Let's get ready to take a break. We'll be right back after the break. 1-877-532-5797. Shop. We'll be right back. Look at the story. We celebrated Good Friday and Easter just a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's a message in that. I heard a preacher talk about this the other week. The thing that people forget, I want you to keep this in mind, is they crucified Jesus. Those of us that are Christian believe they hung him on a cross, maligned him, mocked him. Wasn't enough to nail him. They mocked him, saying, if you be the king of the Jews, step down and deliver yourself. Mocked him. Ridiculed him. He wanted water, they gave him vinegar. Crowned him with a crown of thorns. When they should be giving you your celebratory, they're going to give you some attacks. But the end of the story was they went and laid him in Joseph's tomb. Didn't even have a family tomb. Didn't have insurance like some of us. Laid him in a borrowed tomb. But the third morning, this is the story they tell it. The third morning, when they came to where they laid him, he wasn't there. My message is to you today that don't let them catch you where they laid you. They may kill your name. They may crucify your character. They may tell you you are nothing from nowhere. But when they come to where they laid you, let you be gone on to somewhere else. I've been called everything but a child of God. They said I'd be nothing going nowhere. They castigated us. They called us troublemakers. They called us loudmouth. And when they came to see me go to jail, I wasn't there. They can catch me on MSNBC now. They can catch me leading marches now. I serve a God that not only will go through the crucifixion, but will bring you through the resurrection. We're going to resurrect in the city. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. This is our time. In many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Come on. We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who can run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. Yes, sir. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. Yeah. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well. For 90 days, they're going to do a study of what companies have pulled out of DI and what companies have a small margin of profit. And we in 90 days are going to announce the 2 companies that we're going after. And we're going to ask everybody in this country, black, white, brown, gay, straight, woman, trans, don't buy where you are not respected. Donald Trump can't make us buy your stuff. The Senate can't make us buy your stuff. In the name of Dr. King, we're going to do what Dr. King did. Trump tweeted the other week, I'm a con man. Don't call me the coin man. I'm going to stop the coins from dropping in the wrong place. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on. Your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. And I want to pause for a segment. There's a new book that has come out that I think is tremendous. I don't do a lot of books. I think last week was the first I did books in a couple of years, and did that on student debt with Dr. Jamal Watson. But there's another book that has come out that I got a copy of. I wrote a blurb on it because I knew the author, but when I read the book, it really stimulated me. It's called The Power to Persist, and it shares 8 simple habits for building, in power, for building resilience. One of the things that I find is most people don't know how to come back, to fight back. And this book does that in no small measure because of the author. I've known him 20, 25 years. He's nationally recognized entrepreneur, business leader, advocate. He spent decades in the intersection between civil rights and public policy and corporate America. He's advised Fortune 500 companies. He's worked alongside ministers, a minister himself, and has been a champion of economic and social empowerment, member of the National Board of the National Action Network and of the National Urban League. And I'm talking about Lamel McMorris. How you doing, Lamel?
Rev, I'm doing great. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Tell the audience around the country, first of all, why did you write The Power to Persist?
Rev, number one, thank you for having me on, and especially thank you for writing the foreword to The Power to Persist and sharing your resilient journey. I did not set out to write a book. I actually set out to answer a question that I've been asked my entire career, and that is simply, how do you keep going? And in this time that we're living in right now of layoffs, political polarization, health crisis, the advent of AI and all this disruptive technology, I believe that The Power to Persist gives us 8 simple, repeatable habits for building resilience. It's not just about me, Rev. It's about equipping people with tools to adapt and thrive in these times right now. And resilience isn't just some theory, Rev. It's a practice. This book makes persistence teachable and repeatable.
And in these times where there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of people just giving up, a lot of people just resigned to the fact that things are going to be, what do you hope people pick up this book and walk away with?
Listen, Rev, you know this, and you've had a chance recently to visit my childhood home on the south side of Chicago in Woodlawn, right at the corner of 66th and Cottage Grove. I've seen both the struggle and the strength of my community. Life taught me to view my setbacks as a kid on the south side of Chicago as opportunities. I was forced to do it. It was either give up or choose to use the setbacks as opportunities. I chose to persist. And I think that every obstacle becomes an opportunity to practice persistence and to become more resilient. That same persistence can carry anyone through: student, family, leader, man, woman, young, and old. My story, Rev, is proof that persistence works, but it's also a roadmap for anybody facing obstacles.
Now, your book comes out. How do people get the book?
The book is available right now today. I'm honored that this is the first live radio discussion I've had about the book. The book is available everywhere books are sold, on every platform, especially at www.LAMELLMCMORRIS.com and everywhere where books are available.
And I love the quote that you put up: persistence begins with perspective. What does that mean?
That means we have the opportunity to both look and confront the obstacles that we face in our lives historically, but also to reflect on where we're going. Persistence and resilience is not just about being down, it's about how we also sustain in the up times and the victorious times. And that takes a certain amount of perspective to look honestly, vulnerably at our lives and with focus and with a strong attitude.
In your life journey, and I know, like I said, the last quarter of a century, you worked closely with Reverend Jesse Jackson, faith
Yes.
leaders, Martin Luther King III, myself.
Yes. Yes.
What is a thread that you can say between those that are commonly known? And do you feel that with some of the perspective you're giving, you learn from life experiences, being around people that was in the thick of controversy and in the thick of setbacks?
Rev, when I think about the 8 habits that I put forth, there's several that are like the through lines through all of those individuals. One is your attitude, Reverend Jackson's attitude, the attitude of Martin Luther King III, Reverend Jackson's phenomenal work ethic, which is one of the habits that I lift up, the dogged determination that it takes to advocate on behalf of our people and what is right, just, and fair. But the one from being a kid growing up on Berean Baptist Church on the south side of Chicago to where I am right now, as I look at your life and your work and the journey of others that I've worked with, the one that stands out the most is the habit of faith. Faith defined as the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And Rev, when I realized and when we realized that we are the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen for our ancestors who never would have imagined the victories and the setbacks, but more importantly, how far we've come as a people, that, my friend, cements our journey and our path towards resilience.
The book is The Power to Persist. Lamel J. McMorris. Give us again where they can get the book right now, Lamel.
Everywhere where books are sold and at lamelmcmorris.com.
All right, and you that are on the live stream with me, we've got the book cover up, and you can look right there. You can reserve your copy right on Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton. He will be at the rally Saturday. We're going to have books there for you to sign. You need to read this book, especially you that are about to give up. Don't give out. I wrote the forward. You need this book in your library. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping It Real. Sharpton. Be right back.
This is
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to know.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me
Keeping
that,
it real.
After his
I'm your
departure,
host,
his space would be filled
Reverend
by
Al
another
Sharpton,
preacher.
and we're back 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And let me say by way of announcements, don't forget every Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And you did a great job of telling your friends and family, because we got great numbers in to get the numbers in on Tuesday morning. We had great numbers on Saturday night. We were not on Sunday. We were preempted, though. I went in studio and made a comment on the Kirk funeral. But Saturday night, the show, we did, we had higher ratings than CNN. I don't take that for granted, because people supporting and watching is what's going to keep our voices on the airwaves. So keep it up, and thank you. And spread the word. I'm already working on guests for this weekend. And, of course, I'll be at the House of Justice for the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. House of Justice, 145th and Lenox. For you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television or on www.nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. Don't miss the rally this weekend. Lot to do, lot to talk about. Coming out of the UN, I'm talking to some of the people here for the United Nations General Assembly. And we have people at the Congressional Black Caucus that started today in D.C. So there'll be a lot for me to report, challenge, and update you on where we are with our whole strategy of dealing with being shareholders and going in these companies' public meetings about DEI. So a lot to talk about. And, of course, the Triumph Awards. We're about 3 weeks away. That's our annual cultural event where we honor people that have, in our opinion, impacted the culture positively. This year, we're honoring the one and only Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. He'll be there to get his award. Stephanie Mills, and she's absolutely in a class by herself. She'll be there. Ari Melba, the host of The Beat on MSNBC, and how he has mixed the question of hip-hop with the news and commentary. He'll be there to get his award. Chesley Maddox Dorsey, who owns and operates Kept a Black News Network alive. We honor her. The culture would be less than what we already are complaining about if it wasn't for Chesley. And the Gospel Award going to the one and only Vincent Bohannon. Bohannon has really distinguished himself. He'll be there. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's get some phone calls in. Let me go to New Jersey to Lewis. Lewis, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hello, it's Louise.
Oh, it's Louise. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? The Lord impressed upon me. In the name of Jesus, I come in peace, so I don't want to make you mad. But you are the host, and you said you were looking for guests. As a mother of God,
whoa. I didn't say I was looking for guests. I didn't say I was looking for guests. What are you talking about?
United States. Okay, all right then. All right, okay, well then I'll leave that off. But keeping it real, and worshiping God in truth. And we were talking about vision and civil rights and what the people can see and what they can't see. There's a mental health issue that's very serious in leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to address the mental health of the leaders in order that the people can have the right mental health. And this idea of what the people can understand or what their minds can comprehend or what is possessing their minds is given to them by the leaders, and they're only conscious of certain things. And the truth is what the Lord requires. He requires us to worship Him in truth, and faith has been infiltrated by the churches, and the leadership of the church has been infiltrated by some negative things. So those things need to come to light before the people can even think. We're in a state of unconscious, unfortunately, and we need to be aware of the truth, and then we can deal with it. But you can't deal with mental illness. It takes professionals to deal with mental illness. And as long as there is a family network that is ruling things, our Constitution is no in effect, and the vote is no longer in effect. They're just jokes in the internet, and the numbers are just jokes.
I think that you raised. Thank you for your call. I think you raised a very important question of mental illness. I don't think those saying that voting won't matter. I think the only way you're going to get the resources back that will deal with mental illness, that will deal with all of our health conditions, is you're going to have to vote the right people in. You got people in now that's saying that, we don't need to do vaccinations. So I think you're right. I just think that how we got to deal with it is both and, not either or. Let me go back to more callers. One of the things that happened overnight, and when I tell you that if we fight, you can win, the uproar that you saw around the country, around them canceling Jimmy Kimmel, and how they announced yesterday afternoon, after he was only off 1 or 2 days, is what I'm talking about. These people, entertainers, people in that industry, hundreds of thousands of people bombarded ABC and said, we're not having it, we're pulling out. We're not going to watch you. Your advertisers is wasting their money. And they met now. Nexstar, which is a syndication company that has, I think, about 30 cities where ABC is on. They say, well, we don't know if we're going to put it back on or not. ABC said, we put it on the network whether you carry it local or not. These local Sinclair and Nexstar are local right-wing, or I shouldn't say local, regional right-wing television syndicators. So, for example, if you live in New York and you watch Channel 2 CBS, they run the late night show during the CBS hour. If you watch Stephen Colbert, it's a national show, but the news before him is local news. What they're saying is in their markets, 30-something markets, we're going to keep the local news going. We're not going to put him back on, Jimmy Kimmel. And ABC said, fine, we're coming back on. We're going to bring him back on anyway. That is why people always worry about your protest. Protest works if enough of us join the protest. It works. And that's why we are going to press these people, going to these shareholder meetings. We buying the shares for you, which is why we caught people's attention when we hit Wall Street. You've got to be in their face. People say, well, I don't march. Well, what do? If you don't march, do something. But I never seen a protest that if it had a good turnout, they didn't make a point. Because that's a protest is to make a point. You're not even on the agenda unless you can force it. It's not like if you don't stand up there and say something, these people sit up in these ivory towers discussing us. We got to make ourselves part of the discussion and turn this around. Let's go to Louise. Is it Louise?
We already went to her. That was
I'm
the last
sorry,
one.
we did Louise. Louise. Let's go to Rick in Germany. I haven't talked to Rick in a couple of days. Rick in Germany.
Good day, Brother Sharpton. Good day.
Good day to you.
First, I've just got 2 quick points, man. First, I want to say to former VP Harris and Mr. Waltz, if he's still with her, run, baby, run. Don't let them distract you with Secret Service protection. I have thrown away my life exposing corruption in the Secret Services, not only in the people who protect the president, but the U.S. Treasury agents as a whole, people who protect the money, people who investigate crime in general, and people who are secretive about their practice of police work. But the fact that the president took away your protection, don't let that stymie you. If you can, run, baby, run. And my main point is about white science folk and their ability to teach science to Jewish folk coming into science.
Hold on, Rick. I gotta take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir.
We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses. Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, so that's and we
Alexander Shaw. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
I just found out the two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road from me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And where I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came to me in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and him pushing the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told me, you know that my great grandfather was a slave about 40, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But no. I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI diversify. It's not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to know.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, Twitter.com, The Rev Al, Twitter.com, The Rev Al. And let me say that we see a news flash from Washington that President Trump now has canceled his agreeing to meet with the minority leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer, and the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries. So they were to meet with him to deal with his budget, really deal with government shutdown, and now he's canceled the meeting. So it might go back and forth, but I'm not surprised at the president. Let me hold my calls a minute. I have a guest here at our corporate office that I'm really excited about. He is the mayor of Gary, Indiana. He is Mayor Eddie Melton. How you doing, Mr. Mayor?
I'm blessed, Reverend. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Let me ask you something. You stepped into the mayor's office this past January, I believe, right?
Last January.
Last January. And tell us what that moment meant for you, because I remember when I was 18 years old, Percy Sutton, who was a big politician here, paid my way to go to the Gary Convention, 1972.
Yep.
And so Gary has been sacred ground to me ever since then. And I went a couple of years ago, spoke for former Mayor Hatcher, who passed since then.
Yes.
And so tell me what it meant to you that you were stepping in the shoes of Richard Hatcher.
Wow. You know, for the history and the culture that Gary has brought to this nation, especially through the leadership of Mayor Hatcher, first black elected mayor of a major city in America.
Yeah.
It was a touching moment. He served as a mentor of mine, very close with his daughters. Actually, his oldest daughter works for the city of Gary.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so just to be able to not only be in his capacity, but learn of the work that he was doing that a lot of folks didn't know when it came down on a national landscape. But as I do more research and learn about how the convention was planned and Gary was selected, I mean, that's a historic moment, and that's something that we are trying to be intentional on, teach that next generation of how important that city is and the greatness that has come there, not just politically, but from academic background, social initiatives, entertainment, you name it. So
no, I think that when we talk about President Barack Obama, Vice President Kamala Harris, I was with her the night before last, the seeds that led to them were planted in Gary.
Yeah.
That's the first time we had a political convention like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the players there, the co-conveners was Mayor Hatcher and Imamu Baraka, whose son now is the mayor of Newark.
Absolutely.
And many of us that were younger there, I was 18, are now in leadership and passing on to the generation behind us.
Yeah.
Let me, though, bring you to some of the things you're facing right now. The full history of Gary is it's the home of the largest steel mill in the U.S.
Yeah.
And U.S. Steel Gary Works. What has that meant for the city's identity over the years?
You know, it's always been a very tumultuous relationship to have one of the world's largest steel producer and manufacturers in the city of Gary. At its height, U.S. Steel had 30,000 employees, and right now we have 4,000 employees. Now, a mixture of that is automation. A lot of that has been plant closures that, the offshoring of a lot of those jobs, the influx of poor steel production from China and other countries was a result of the downturn of the economic crisis for the steel industry. Fast forward, just last year, we now have Nippon Steel, which has entered into a partnership. U.S. Steel was ranked 24th in the world in steel production. Nippon, out of Japan, is ranked number 4. So this partnership has raised U.S. Steel back up to a top steel producer. Now, the tumultuous relationship was in the early 2000s, U.S. Steel lobbied downstate in Indianapolis, and they were able to get a law that allowed them to self-assess their taxes. That was a tragedy to the city of Gary. All of that tax burden shifted from industry to homeowners. So you've seen an exodus of people that could not afford to live in their homes at Gary's height.
So they compensated their self-taxation in many ways to the homeowners.
Absolutely.
Who had to pick that up with property tax and other.
Absolutely. So I believe in 2009, the legislature, and I was state senator for 2 terms.
Yeah.
They had to implement the property tax cap. So personal property taxes would not exceed a 1% threshold.
Okay.
Right? So that helped, but it still minimized the revenue that cities were getting. So I knew going into running for mayor that it would be a very difficult and challenging role for a city like Gary, a predominantly black city in a supermajority red state and Democratic city, to struggle to fight to get every single thing and to fight to keep the things that we do have.
But being that you left the Senate to run, you knew what you were up against, and you had a real objective in mind that you wanted to deal with that.
No, absolutely. Yep.
Now, here you're making some economic deals, and have done so since taking office. What has happened to Gary over the years? What are we doing now to change the landscape? You talked about Nippon. Tell us some of the things you are working on and bringing into the city that other mayors around the country could learn from your model.
Well, I'm learning from a lot of folks myself, right? Coming in as mayor, so I thank all of my peers and colleagues, especially those of the African American Mayors Association, that helped to support me. One of the things I look at is what we're doing around violence prevention and around crime. We had a reduction in the homicide rate of 55% this year. And that's something.
A reduction of 55% of homicide.
Yes. So
we're not hearing about that.
We're not hearing about that. I know a lot of other cities like Chicago, like Baltimore and Birmingham have seen a reduction. And I don't think we get that coverage that we should as cities, especially cities led by black mayors.
Right.
But I use what do we do to change that, and it's more community-oriented policing. It's investing in after-school programs. It's investing in workforce development and training. Those are the things that I used a lot of the federal dollars that we receive, the CDBG money, and invested into those programs. That wasn't done to the level before. And I have to admit, the American Rescue Plan was that cushion that we had to allow us to invest those final dollars that I had coming into office into a lot of those initiatives. So at the foundation level, public safety was a very critical point that we had to do. We've stabilized that. We've stabilized the city finances. This is the first time in 2 decades the city has a surplus. I came into office, I served as ranking minority member on Senate Appropriations. And when I came in, I learned a lot from my conservative colleagues. I came into office, I told my department heads, act as if you don't have 10% of your budget.
Wow. Wow.
Not to say you can't use it, but once you hit that threshold, we got to have a conversation to justify going past that point, to be more mindful of how we're spending our tax dollars. So we've been able to accrue, I would say, between $9 to $12 million of a surplus that allows us to be, I would say, proactive in the attempts that the legislature tries to do anything additional to prevent Gary to be successful.
Do you feel that in this climate where there's so much tumultuous stuff coming out of Washington, you're mayor in a red state, do you feel you can get through this period despite the fact Washington has not been one that is kind to black mayors, if not outright combative?
I believe that because I worked in the legislature, it prepared me to become Mayor of Gary. That was probably the most divisive place I ever been in my entire career. I worked in the private sector, I worked in the utility sector, and so many other areas. But working in the legislature in a supermajority state prepared me to become mayor in this time in history.
We're bringing down 55% of the homicide rates and bringing in napalm and all you doing. Exemplary job. Mayor Eddie Melton, glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
And let's stay in touch. I'd like to hear that story that you're telling. We need to also do it on the television show. Thank you for being with us. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. More of you on the phones. Keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back. Take a picture of it. I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI, diversify, is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete. Stop telling yourself you're not confident of what you could do. When people with half your skills and a quarter of your talent have gone on to create big waves in life, if you look at them and you know you're more gifted than them, then what is your problem? You are looking for someone to come and drag you into success. You've got to use what you have, which is, in my judgment, more skillful than others I've known in your areas. Use that and believe in that, and your confidence will build up as you get going and start doing. And don't chase the spotlight. Sharpen your skills. Live in your purpose. And you'll get so good the spotlight will be chasing you. Be so good they can't help but talk about you and put the spotlight on you. You don't get your energy from chasing the spotlight. You get your energy by chasing your purpose. The spotlight and other adulation will come with it. Have a great day. One year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going at Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10 or 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this. We were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York. Chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, maybe the chairman of the board, maybe the CEO, I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. I said, what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump said he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariffs. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff. No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my
Sharpton, and we're back. And I want to thank Mayor Melton, a lot of mayors and elected officials in town for the UN General Assembly meeting with some of the African delegations. And that's a good thing. Hopefully, we can get some of our African American populated cities to do business with some of our African nations and their cities. Let me go back to the phones, though. I kept Rick waiting from Germany. Go ahead, Rick.
Good day, brother man. Thank you for holding me over.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to say to VP Harris and Walz, if he's still with her, that they shouldn't be dismayed about the lack of security that Trump interfered with, and that if at all possible, she should run. And second, I wanted to talk about white science folk. Today, or in the last few days, Trump has called climate change a con job. Well, in the 1920s and 30s, white and Jewish scientific folk were pondering the impact of the trains and the automobile industry on the atmosphere. They wrote papers that were suppressed in those days by government, not just the universities, but by government, because they clearly showed that climate change in our generation, not ancient Egypt, but in our generation, was real, and that we could damage the atmosphere. Trump has called it a con. White science folk had better get busy training a new generation, not just in the basics of science, but in sustainable science. I'm done, brother man.
All right, thank you for your call. And I certainly am very concerned, Rick, but now he's messing with science. I mean, he's crazy. On our message board, Happiness Donuts is saying, let my people go, go. And she is right. And Tricia is saying that you're a trooper. She's saying to him about, okay, you're a trooper for walking 2 miles after work. I can only get my walk in the morning. I'm trying to see who she is sending that to. But whoever it is, I'm commending if you walk 2 miles a day. I work out every morning on the elliptical and bicycle and try to do about, I guess, between the two, maybe 3.5, 4 miles. So on Sunday, when we did the annual African American Day Parade, it's about 2.5 miles. I could walk that easy because I work out every day on the elliptical machine and on the bicycle. Keep your legs strong. Let's go to Mustafa. Mustafa in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Buzz. Mustafa.
Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton.
Good afternoon.
Yes. I'd like to add, I think it's imperative, very necessary that we network with our African brothers and sisters we work with. I work with a great deal of brothers and sisters from Africa, and a sister from Morocco who's a citizen now. She had asked me about the H-1B visas.
Right.
Because she was deeply concerned. And I explained it to her. And my second question to her was, do you vote? And she said, no, me and my husband, we don't get involved in politics. And I said to her, I said, you know, you really need to attend my class, you and your husband, so that you can get a strong understanding on the process now that you guys are citizens. Because what's going on today, when you see Trump and you get nervous, that's because about 19 million people didn't vote, including you.
That's right.
So this is why it's very, very important to participate in the process once you become a citizen. And, you know, I understand they found paradise here and They're making money and things are well for them. But all that can be threatened by the people who are elected to office.
Right.
And I asked her to go online. I asked them what they watch on TV. What do they look at? And I told them, if you want to view and see some of the people out there in the forefront, watch Politics Nation.
I
So
appreciate
thanks for taking
that.
my call.
Thank you, as always. Good to hear your voice, Mustafa. Let me go to my activist extraordinaire in Chicago, Sister Pam. Pam, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hello, Reverend Sharpton.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Overall, I am well, but always fighting and, what they say, trying to make things better. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to you, Reverend Jackson, all of our civil rights leaders, because I told you, Reverend Sharpton, I remember a time, I'm here in Chicago, you had sometimes hosts, either callers, come on and say, well, what's the relevancy of our civil rights organization? Which I thought was just a really unintelligible question, because now in this day we do see the relevance and we see the fight back. So I just want to make that clear to everyone. Donate, put your money where your mouth is. We need our millionaire and billionaires to stand up, Reverend Sharp. I've said it before. We see what they're doing on the opposite side, so we need them to do it here. Regarding Leader Jeffries, I vehemently disagree with that vote to support that Kirk resolution. But here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to dismiss him or call for him to lose the leadership position. I did call him, as well as several other Congress people, and I just asked them to think about that. And I'm afraid, and Reverend Sharp can push back or let me know some of your thoughts, because maybe I'm not in the right space with this. I thought that should have been a no-brainer, and everyone should have voted no, for this simple reason. There will be a time that people in that Kirk organization, or as well as other hate groups and conservatives, will use that same language again. And then how do you hold them accountable if you've already voted to that resolution and said yes to it when it included that language? Now, I know they pushed together two pieces. They wanted to condemn the political violence. And I thought I read Representative Vesey came up with an alternate resolution to address that. In other words, to separate the two. That didn't happen, and possibly because the Democrats don't have the majority. But nonetheless, Reverend Sharpton, I felt in my heart, and I left this message with Leader Jeffries and others, that had Kirk made these same comments about Jewish elected officials, prominent people, judges, there would have been a complete vote of no. And once again, I vehemently disagree with all of those who supported this, but I'm not going to throw Leader Jeffries to the wolves. But
let me say this: you mirror my opinion exactly. I disagreed. I said to Leader Jeffries in person. I said it on the show on Saturday night when I had him on in studio that I disagree. But I'm not willing to not have a speaker that on 90% of the time we agree for somebody I don't know who could be speaking. We knock Hakeem out, they're going to put a moderate Democrat in if they retake the House that may be with us 30, 40% of the time. So politics is about mathematics. I think we would get more if he's speaker than we get with somebody else. That does not mean we give him a blank check or pass on things like that vote. I think that vote was wrong. I think there are some things he's done and championed in the House that has been right. So I totally agree. And hold on a minute, Pam. We'll talk right after the break. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor, who stayed right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them. Now he's one of them.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
When they came from the dream. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. 5797 1877 532-5797. And I think that we got callers and a message board. Let me go to the message board. Happiness Donuts is saying Stephen A. is far from a credible source, in my opinion. And Bruce Turner is saying, don't be weary in well-doing. Lift each other up. That needs to be our slogan to keep repeating. And I agree. Let me go. Pam, are you still on, Pam?
Yes, I am, Reverend. I'm still here.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for holding me over. So I was just sharing with people, call your representative and voice your opinion. Number 202-224-3121. And let them know exactly how you feel. But we still have to be strategic in our politics. So I want to make that plain and clear. The next thing I just want to say, Epstein, he is his best friend in the White House is a sexual predator. And he's an adjudicated sexual abuser. So he is labeled a sexual predator. When he went to London, shortly thereafter, they found out that Fergie, who was Prince Andrew's wife,
right?
So you know where I'm going with this. That they found out she had been communicating with Epstein, thanking him. This was after Epstein's conviction, thanking him for the support of her family. So, needless to say, the charities, the royal charities, I guess, took her name and removed her name. But this tells us how international this sex trafficking ring was and is. And Reverend Sharpton, millionaires and billionaires, they do not have people in their inner circle or outer circle that they know everything about. Whomever is in that inner circle or outer circle, they know everything about them. And so with Epstein, his estate released that book. And there were many references to little children with balloons and just, the foolishness of a sexual predator. So for that to be okay with people, it is not.
Yep.
And lastly, I want to say this, Reverend Sharpton, I'm not looking for a Messiah, from the Democratic Party. I'm looking for all of us to come together. But leadership, honest and decent leadership, does help. But I don't have a Messiah complex, because I hear Kamala Harris and I've heard some other people reference that. So I hope that is not what black people are waiting for. And you tell me, Reverend Sharpton, 90% of black women voted for Harris.
That's
and
right.
Almost 80% of black men. So the Democratic Party, what is the messaging? Because if you tell me it's to put money in the hands of people and this is the economy, I'm still asking the Democratic strategists and the leadership in the party, why did black people get it and your white voters didn't? So that question, if they're not going to deal with that honestly, we might have some similar situations upcoming.
Absolutely
now,
right.
Does that make sense, or am I?
No, that
off
makes a
base
lot
with
of
that?
sense to me. Makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, thank you, Reverend Sharpton.
All right. Always good to hear your voice. Let me go to Reverend Ramsey. This is an outstanding activist here in New York. Reverend Ramsey from New York.
Hey, Rev. How you doing, Reverend Sharpton?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing well. I heard you this morning at the interview here this morning at the House of Justice briefly.
Okay.
I was tipping there and I saw you, yeah. Anyway, I'm surprised I was able to even get through. I was writing on the board a couple of times and wasn't able to get through, but I'm just going to read what I had wrote. I said, good afternoon, Reverend and the Nan family. During the commercial break, the man has quoted about don't allow no one to make you feel that you are nobody. And I thought that was so encouraging to people out there that feel like they're at the end of their rope, where they can't not hold on any longer. And in other words, I believe that it's telling us also that regardless what people think about you, know that you are somebody. Stand tall and be strong. You don't know what you are missing at the House of Justice, 106 West 145. That's the place to be. And then my other comment I had put down was that the lines are hot today. If I can't get through one way, I will try another. The phone. The phone, I hope.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank
Enjoy
you.
your calling.
All right.
Enjoy your calling, Reverend. Well, you're definitely in these times. I'm planning to go to the nation soon. Continue to keep me in your prayer, and I love you, and continue to fight the good fight.
Love you. Thank you. You're a real asset to our community, and I thank you. Let me go to the sage of the South, Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was thinking at first it was a repeat show, but let me get on to this. Look, Reverend Sharpton, the first thing we talk about is Hakeem, and I think we mentioned this. Ask the callers, what's the alternative to Hakeem? That's it. What's the alternative?
Right.
Just tell me what the alternative is.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And like you clearly said, you know what I mean? Who are we going to get in? One lady told me today, we'll get Jasmine Crockett. When? When? You know what I mean? When will we play this politics like it's politics? You can't kill this man over that situation.
Right. Even though we disagree with him. We disagree with him,
Yeah.
but you can't kill, especially with no term. You as always speaking wisdom. That's all I'm saying.
You just can't. That's all we saying. You can't kill this man and hold him and beat him. Now, here's the caveat, Reverend Al. We got an example right in front of us right now with Trump.
That's right.
We killed Kamala with all the crap.
Right.
Beat her to death.
Right.
She's lucky to survive.
Right.
When she did. Beat her to death on one issue that caused us a whole bunch of drama, where we got to form organizations and how to make black men feel fine and all of this and that. You know what I mean? And now we got this fool in office for 9 months that done turned everything upside down.
Right.
The example is right there. You have a better chance of Reverend Al or anybody that in our community calling on the phone and say, Jeffries, can we talk?
Right.
You call the other guy on the phone, you can't get Johnson on the phone.
No. Not on the phone, not on nothing else. And if you get him on, he ain't going to do nothing. He ain't going to do nothing. I mean,
That's right.
I don't
So
even
that
understand what they talking about.
Come on, man, let's be mature. If he made a mistake, okay, that's a mistake. I'm pretty sure he had a rationale for it. I'm not sure if he shared it with you or made it public or whatever, but I'm pretty sure he had a rationale. Then if the rationale don't go with us, still, that's our man.
Right. Right.
How can they stay with a pedophile, with a liar, a robber, a thief, a guy that's enriching his whole family on lies and tricks, taking the country down to hell, and they still in this corner, make America great again. Our man make one mistake, we're going to kill him. Bam, beat him up. Bam, knock him out. Bam.
Right.
It don't make no sense. I'm not saying don't be angry with him. I'm not saying don't voice your opinion with him, but don't kill him.
Yeah, no, you can put him in check like I did. I mean, I said what I said to him on television, and I was a lot more volatile on the phone and later in the studio. But I'm not. Let me tell you something. They want to let us kill him off so they can make somebody else speaker. And I love Jasmine Crockett, but Jasmine Crockett would not get the votes in the Congress to be the speaker. Maxine Waters wouldn't get them. She says that. So, I mean, let's be mature if we're trying to get something done. Emotional people need to understand we can use our emotions, but we must also concede that we're not going to get where we want to go. Let's go to Ruth. Let me stay in Atlanta. Ruth, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton. Is Ruth there?
Yes, sir. This is Miss, as you call me, Miss Ruth. Yes, sir. This is me. But I'm not gonna hold you on the phone because I know you got a lot of people to talk to. But the Lord gave me Friday. He said, "It's time for the white road." Now, that's all I'm repeating what he repeated to me to tell you. And I tried to get you. He said, "This is your protection from him." He said, "You've got to," I know it's heavy, and it's actually for like a winter robe because I crocheted every stitch in that, robe by hand. And that's yarn. That took me a while to make it.
Now, I remember you were calling me while you were making it, yeah.
Right. And he said, "It's time. It's your protection from him."
All right. I received that.
If this, he said, I know you got his protection, what he's saying, Rev, and you understand that, and you know that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know that. And my husband and I pray for you all the time because you are God's chosen. You've been like that ever since you were 7.
Yeah.
I've never seen you in person, but I said, I can tell. I used to say, well, no, he just talking. And then I found the Lord said, no, that's my chosen. And you have the people, what they need, Rev, they need to stop talking about this one, that one. Get on the knees and pray to God. And if they got God in their life, don't you know that they will be praying for the Democrats to take everything back? God showed me Johnson before he got in office. He showed me. And I had never seen Mike Johnson. Never. And when they was choosing, all of that was a setup. That's what God said. All of it was a setup. And I couldn't get to you to tell you, but I knew you knew for yourself. But all of that going down with him, with the first one, and also Jordan and all the other ones, that was a setup. In order for them to let them know Mike Johnson was Trump's man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what God told me, Rev. He said, I don't know if people don't understand and don't know. I said, I don't hate anybody. I don't even hate Donald Trump.
Right.
I love everybody, but I don't like his ways because they're not of God.
That's the book. Thank you so much. I received your message. I got it. Thank you so much. Love to your husband. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Look at the story. We celebrated Good Friday and Easter just a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's a message in that. I heard a preacher talk about this the other week. The thing that people forget, I want you to keep this in mind, is they crucified Jesus. Those of us that are Christian believe they hung him on a cross, maligned him, mocked him. Wasn't enough to nail him. They mocked him, saying, if you be the king of the Jews, step down and deliver yourself. Mocked him. Ridiculed him. He wanted water, they gave him vinegar. Crowned him with a crown of thorns. When they should be giving you your celebratory, they're going to give you some attacks. But the end of the story was they went and laid him in Joseph's tomb. Didn't even have a family tomb. Didn't have insurance like some of us. Laid him in a borrowed tomb. But the third morning, this is the story they tell it. The third morning, when they came to where they laid him, he wasn't there. My message is to you today that don't let them catch you where they laid you. They may kill your name. They may crucify your character. They may tell you you are nothing from nowhere, but when they come to where they laid you, let you be gone on to somewhere else. I've been called everything but a child of God. They said I'd be nothing going nowhere. They castigated us. They called us troublemakers. They called us loudmouth. And when they came to see me go to jail, I wasn't there. They can catch me on MSNBC now. They can catch me leading marches now. I serve a God that not only will go through the crucifixion, but will bring you through the resurrection. We're going to resurrect in the city. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. This is our time. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. A lot going on. When we came on, we talked about the president speaking at the UN, not really ever addressing policy. Here's a man that says he ought to get the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's not solved Ukraine, not been able to deal with what's going on in Gaza. There's a move in the UN. I'm in meetings around the clock while a lot of our African leaders are here and some from the Middle East. And they have, there's going to be a move. It may have happened today. And England and France and others are supposed to join in to call for a Palestinian state. As long as I can remember, I've been supportive of a two-state solution, including when we had, I went to the Middle East in 2001 and met with both Sharon Peres, who was then the foreign minister, had been prime minister and became prime minister again of Israel, and went over and met with Yasser Arafat, the head of the Palestinian state at that time. And we've been fighting that. That's a quarter of a century ago. And Trump comes in all the way Netanyahu, all the way to the right. Just none of that this morning in the United Nations. Even asked, what is the United Nations for? Then we hear, as he walks off, he's not going to meet with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries around how to keep the government running. Now, he may change his mind again, but that's where he is. And that's what he's saying. So a lot to talk about today. And let me bring in the senior pastor of the historic Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem. And he is the chief operating officer of National Action Network, been on our staff almost 2 years.
3
now.
years.
3 years, okay. The Reverend Dr. Malcolm Byrd. Reverend, how do you read the times that we're in? We have all these people can hardly move around the east side of Manhattan. All these heads of states, I think Zelensky is going to speak, Macron is here from France and all. Yet we are in the throes of a growing autocracy where the president has fired a U.S. attorney because he won't indict the state attorney general of New York, Tish James, saying there's no evidence, so he wants to force him. We are dealing with Jimmy Kimmel was suspended. The people rose up, including people in Hollywood, so they reinstated him. How does this look on a global level to this shift in America? We never, in my opinion, ever had a real democracy, but at least we were trying to lean that way, where we now have just outright autocracy.
Thank you, Reverend. I'm glad to be on your program again. I think that Donald Trump is the international poster child for talking loud and saying nothing. What you find in Donald Trump is someone who likes to talk to hear himself talk, to the extent that there was really nothing remotely coherent about his address this morning to the United Nations. And then when he decided to speak on something, he decided to talk about the escalator that perhaps went out of service without acknowledging the fact that because of the United States pulling out nearly $100 million out of the UN budget that goes into maintaining that building and other things, that could be why the building is in the disrepair that is in, among other reasons. I think on the world stage, I think that the world generally recognizes the fact that the United States is approaching what has happened historically around the world. Anytime there is a nation that has a propped up figure void of any type of democratic principle, who is moving towards an autocracy, I think that there is of grave concern, because anytime something like that rises up, you have these large cult-like figures who want to be in charge, want to be dominant, want to control without the people's buy-in. And so this goes back to not just who voted back in this last presidential election, but what we see in the creation of Donald Trump. This is also goes back to who did not vote, which created the Donald Trump that we know now. And that also is affecting who we are, Reverend Sharpton, in our pulpits. How what is preached in our pulpits has both global and local connotations. The ministers who are beginning to preach about Donald Trump and the challenges of living under a Donald Trump regime, that MAGA group is starting to respond and starting to show up and send messages to those pastors and to those clergy. I would only encourage them to continue preaching the gospel of liberation, which is a gospel that includes people and doesn't exclude people. And the gospel of liberation is a gospel that never promised that we would live our lives or live our ministries on flowery beds of ease. But it did promise, if you find yourself with your back up against the wall, you won't be fighting by yourself. I'll be with you, says the Lord.
Let me read from our message page. Bishop Dr. Michael E. Watson Jr. says, Reverend Sharpton, Bishop Watson here, your Vice President of Religious Affairs of the Baltimore chapter of National Action Network. He's listening to us. Well, thank you, Reverend. And I think that somebody, Leslie Jennings, said as you were talking, Reverend, that nothing remotely coherent was said. And I've given up on Donald Trump sounding coherent. I mean, it is beyond him, to me, to sound coherent. Let me go to the phone. Let me go to Cliff in Connecticut. Cliff, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Bird.
Hey, Reverend Sharpton, thanks for taking my call. Listen, man, much respect, and you did a great job. I commend you with your march. You know, keep up the good work, my brother. You know, so hey, listen, by the way, any buses coming from Connecticut?
Coming from Connecticut where?
That came from Connecticut. That
Yeah, we had a lot of buses from Connecticut.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I was trying to find some, so I wound up walking. No, I'm only kidding. But I did tune in, so it was good. I did see it on TV, and so. But anyway, but listen, in reference to Sister Kamala Harris, there's no question, Rev. I'll be honest with you. I voted for her specifically. I didn't care too much about Biden, so I voted, and there's no question. I believe some of your callers are right that she did win. You know, and so any idea whether she's going to run again?
You know,
people
ask that, Cliff, and I was at a restaurant with her the other night. There was very few of us, and I really don't think she's made up her mind. She's written this book. She's did Rachel Maddow last night. She's doing some other interviews, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, you know what, Rev? The reason why I said it because I think that the black leadership should endorse our candidate and let the Democratic Party, you know, feel our demands. You know, and then if in fact she were to run, then they could do the primary, and if Gavin Newsom or Shapiro or what's the guy out of Chicago?
Pritzker,
the Jewish governor. Pritzker. If they win the nominee, then fine. You know, do the primary. But there's no question. I think that she had the momentum and that she can definitely win. But nevertheless, I hope she does, and I think that would be key. And then we can find out how sincere the Democratic Party is in terms of supporting a black female. You know, that's just my opinion. But finally, I would say this, Reverend. I was in by saying this, Reverend Sharpton. I was a little puzzled, okay, watching the tribute going to the guy Charlie Kirk, okay, and I didn't see too many black people, and so I was curious. I was bewildered, and it finally came to me that Charlie Kirk, Reverend Sharpton, is a Christian nationalist. And that whole group of people, even have a whole full of people here in Connecticut, are Christian nationalists, which is different from traditional Christians. I don't know if that makes sense to you, because I was wondering, why are these people, Christians, supporting Trump? And Trump, with his dumb behind, he gets up there and talks about the disease and the aspirin. He does that at a tribute. I mean, I couldn't understand, and people allow that. So there's no question that that's what this whole group is, and there's a lot of young people, white people that are Christian nationalists. That's a big and upcoming group we need to keep our eye on. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you for your call. And Will J. is saying that Vice President Harris said on The View this morning she's not running for president again. I did not get to see The View because we were doing a press conference at the House of Justice. 2 more people have died of Legionnaire's disease. So Ben Crump and I was doing that, and then I ran to do the radio show. But I will check it. But thank you for your Give me that information, Will. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Bird. Be right back.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want? We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We never shine, never shade. Give me a papa glory, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they gotta open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their home, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40, and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
We have a short visit today, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We would go. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Last time, and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly. The two people that most influenced my life are from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket.
Wow.
To South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from.
Keepin the drill. I'm your host.
Yeah, right.
Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Dr. Michael Reverend Dr. Malcolm Byrd, Senior Pastor of the historic King Solomon Baptist Church and the Chief Operating Officer of National Action Network here at Corporate, is my co-host this week. I've checked. I do not see anywhere that Kamala Harris announced that she was not running for president. I did not have time to see the tape of the View, but I've checked even with my staff at MSNBC, and they said no such announcement is not there. And she might have said she's not made up her mind about running, but she did not say she's not running. I just wanted to clear that up. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio. Demetrius, WERE, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Byrd.
Hey, thank you, Reverend Sharpton. It's good to speak to you and Mr. Byrd.
Bless you.
I just want to comment on briefly. First of all, about Donald Trump comments yesterday, recommend that people shouldn't take Tylenol.
Right.
I believe he shouldn't make statements like that unless you have, some pure facts, because that influence those people not to take the medicine, when they might be in pain. And also I wonder whether or not he's catering to certain pharmaceutical companies, drug companies. Because about Tylenol is being sold over the counter, in a way that don't benefit pharmaceutical companies where people have to buy the medicine, from the pharmacists behind the counter. So I believe, it may be a political reason, a financial reason why he make that statement, that people shouldn't take Tylenol, and some of the other statements he made. Because it goes back to also during his first term, when the COVID was rampant, when he said people should drink alcohol or something to help them. It'll help them kill COVID. To me, that shows he's not qualified to make those type of statements, and like I said, be detrimental to people who follow him and take his word as law. Because some people who is in pain will tolerate pain because of what he says. He should be more responsible. And also, when it comes to whether or not the Democrats should have spoken out earlier when Joe Biden was running for president against Donald Trump, I believe it wouldn't have made too much of a difference, because this country, the Republicans were basing on their campaign on inflation. And if our prices were so high, I believe whoever the Democrats would put up to run against Donald Trump, the inflation was such a big issue, even though I believe whoever in office would have made no difference, because inflation is still high with Donald Trump in office. But people was under pressure that a new president would bring down the prices. And Donald Trump and the president probably was such a hammering the point that Biden was responsible for it, that a number of people believed that, and they went to the polls thinking the prices was going to go down. And also because they was also make a big issue out of Joe Biden's age, and because sometimes when he was speaking, he stumbled and so forth. And here in America, they do have a complex about people's age, which they shouldn't have, for some reason, because it's not about age, it's about a person, their experience and their values and their dedication. He had no problem when Franklin Roosevelt was president and he was in a wheelchair. He won re-election. And John F. Kennedy had a back problem. He had no problem with that. So a person can be, a president or a leader of a country, even though they have an ailment. I believe the Republican Party make that is such a big issue out of his age, and inflation, that a lot of people lean toward the party. And also, when it comes to age, it shouldn't be a big issue. Also, people are choosy because they would back Bernie Sanders, but that's because Bernie Sanders' policy is more lenient, more liberal, and some people are looking for somebody on a more progressive side, and they overlook Bernie Sanders' age. So I believe it's a lot of factors that went into why Joe Biden, didn't go further, and whoever Democratic candidate would have been would not have won. But mainly, I believe it comes down to inflation, and hopefully, the people realize that and speak up. Also, Spiegel, when it comes to what Donald Trump trying to do with freedom of speech and try to take control of the government. First, African Americans, and we've been here in this country for 100 years, and we still haven't had complete justice and freedom in this country. And we should not, we have no doubt we can't tolerate someone want to be a dictator of us and deny us any type of freedom in the future as well. It's important for us to go to the polls, stand up, protest, boycott, whatever necessary. But we deserve to have the same justice as any other group of people in this country. It's imperative that we don't, that no one prolong justice for us, and just for all Americans, but especially for us, because we deserve, to have the same rights as anyone else, and we shouldn't settle for not ever having the same rights as any citizen in this country. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your call. Reverend Bird, on what Demetrius was just saying in terms of equal rights, I think that sometimes we cast it in a way that we do not really effectively communicate, that we're not asking for nothing special or extra. We're asking for equal treatment under the law and equal opportunity in the economic areas, whether it's employment, business contracts, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I would say, Reverend Sharpton, historically speaking, this nation and this country has never been interested in providing people of African descent, African Americans, with our equal share of anything. The mere fact that you have the black church now is because there was never an intent to provide full membership for free blacks living in the North and South, to have full membership in large white congregations in the North or in the South. That also affected whether or not black ministers could be ordained. The reason why you have an AME church and an AME Zion church is largely over an issue of ordination, where bishops in those denominations, in those white denominations, refuse to ordain black ministers, because that would mean that black ministers now become equal with white ministers, let's say, in that conference or in that denomination. So we have always struggled from the inception of this nation with an issue of equality, to the extent that we weren't even viewed as fully human to be a part of a conversation about equality. So here we are in 2025 as a people, still crying and still demanding for our equal share.
Because we are still in an unequal situation.
That's right.
Let me go to Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira.
Good evening, Reverend Sharpton. Good evening, Reverend Sharpton. This is Ira, the Watergate kid, Watergate City kid. I had a comment I wanted to make. In reference to a radio advertisement I just heard on the news about the Orange Cheeto was saying he wants to prosecute Pam Bondi and other folks for not moving fast enough and getting the results that he wanted. When we wanted the same results about him and what he has done, everything involving him is a witch hunt. Now it's no witch hunt when they want to involve other people. So it's a real double standard that I think America should know about and should bring to the forefront so they can stop playing these games, because he's just trying to throw the attention on anything he can, trying to make everybody get in trouble because he's in trouble. So he's just, like I said, cry witch hunt when it's Tam, but when somebody else he wants to put the pressure. Why can't Tam Bondi? Tam Bondi is one of his people. She got sense. She's not going to put herself out there and get all jacked up because of him, and she knows the law. Even though she's crooked, but she knows the law. She's not going to get messed up because of him. And if you firing people because they don't do what you say, that is so messed up, and it's going to come to light, and he's going to come back to catch you. That's all I want to say, Brother Charles.
All right, thank you for your call. Let's get ready to take our break. We'll be right back. More of you on the phones right after the break and on our message board, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. We'll be right back after this. Look at the story. We celebrated Good Friday and Easter just a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's a message in that. I heard a preacher talk about this the other week. The thing that people forget, I want you to keep this in mind, is they crucified Jesus. Those of us that are Christian believe they hung him on a cross, maligned him, mocked him. Wasn't enough to nail him. They mocked him, saying, if you be the king of the Jews, step down and deliver yourself. Mocked him, ridiculed him. He wanted water, they gave him vinegar. Crowned him with a crown of thorns. When they should be giving you your celebratory, they're going to give you some attacks. But the end of the story was they went and laid him in Joseph's tomb. Didn't even have a family tomb. Didn't have insurance like some of us. Laid him in a borrowed tomb. But the third morning, this is the story they tell it. The third morning, when they came to where they laid him, he wasn't there. My message is to you today that don't let them catch you where they laid you. They may kill your name. They may crucify your character. They may tell you you are nothing from nowhere. But when they come to where they laid you, let you be gone on to somewhere else. I've been called everything but a child of God. They said I'd be nothing going nowhere. They castigated us. They called us troublemakers. They called us loudmouth. And when they came to see me go to jail, I wasn't there. They can catch me on MSNBC now. They can catch me leading marches now. I serve a God that not only will go through the crucifixion, but will bring you through the resurrection. We're going to resurrect in the city. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. This is our time. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on. We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who can run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go. Look, we got a schedule. We got people to see. He said it again. Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well. For 90 days, they're going to do a study of what companies have pulled out of DI and what companies have a small margin of profit. And we in 90 days are going to announce the 2 companies that we're going after. And we're going to ask everybody in this country, black, white, brown, gay, straight, woman, trans, don't buy where you are not respected. Donald Trump can't make us buy your stuff. The Senate can't make us buy your stuff. In the name of Dr. King, we're going to do what Dr. King did. Trump tweeted the other week, I'm a con man. Don't call me the coin man. I'm going to stop the coins from dropping in the wrong place. Keeping it real, I'm your host. Keeping it real. Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael Bird is our co-host this week. The mayor, Rodney Jones, is saying on our message pad, and they have the nerve to question the intelligence of our black queens that are Harvard, Princeton, Ivy League educated. When you can't compete, you make excuses to justify your inadequacies, and I definitely agree with that. And that's historic. I've seen it back far back as Shirley Chisholm. Let's go to Philadelphia, WURD, the word to Brother Jacob. Brother Jacob, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Peace be unto you, Reverend Al, to you two reverends and your worldwide listening audience. You know, Reverend Al, I've been listening. And I say to the Democrats, let us get Brother Hakeem Jeffrey the gavel. Then we can go forward from there. You know, how do you beat a man down? He don't even have a position yet. So is that positive to even talk negative against him? And like I've been hearing, what do you have as an alternative? Right? It doesn't make sense. You know, we can't control all of the anti-democratic, anti-constitutional things that we see coming from the White House, right? We can't control that. But and we know how much the president know about science and medicine. He the one told us about bleach and lights and he believed in the brain worms and stuff. That's why he got that boy in office there over the thing. But you know what we can do, Reverend Sharpton, and this is Rosh Hashanah, right? To my Jewish brothers and sisters, this is your high holy day, and in this period, I pray that you are really praying for peace. I'm not talking to the Zionists, because there's a difference between the Jewish people and the Zionists, right? But I'm talking about the Jewish people who love their religion and is upright in it, trying to do the best they can do with what they know of it. So, because, I mean, we it's funny how we got peace on our tongue. The Jews, shalom, shalom, the Muslims, assalamu alaikum, and the Christian, peace be unto you. It's better to me to make a peace than just to say it. We got peace on our tongues, but we don't have it in our heart.
That's right.
And I know I'm talking to two reverends. Look, the Bible says for us to turn from our wicked ways, pray that we would hear from heaven and God Almighty would heal the land, right?
That's right.
And then it also says, blessed are the peacemakers. They're the ones going to be called the children of God. Amen.
Amen. You said it right. You
Thank
quoted
you.
it right. Thank you for your call. Let me get in Sky from Virginia. Sky, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Bird.
Yes, Al Sharpton, thank you for taking my call. But I would just like to say, first of all, you hit it on the head with the Nobel Peace Prize Donald Trump mentioned in the United Nations, and also that he stopped 7 wars but didn't do anything for the Ukraine. And then also, I would like to say that I was trying to find out why Donald Trump showed favoritism towards Putin. And so I decided to do some research. So what I found out that back in 2013, Donald Trump hosted the Universe pageant in Moscow, Russia. And then from my understanding, the U.S. government was scrutinizing Donald Trump's relationship with the Russian leaders. And then also, from my understanding, he became friends with Putin. And with that being said, it stated that Putin offered Donald Trump all kind of exotic women, anybody that he wanted to be with, he could have. And we know Donald Trump made a comment, he could grab a woman by you know what. So I'm going like, with that being said, I think Putin got some videos of Donald Trump having inappropriate relationship with women. So therefore, Putin knows where the bones are buried at, meaning he knows he got videos on Trump. So that's why Trump is so cordial and nice and polite with Putin. So I think the government really needs to look at that, investigate that relationship they have, because there's no way that Donald Trump is supporting Ukraine, and he has not sanctioned Putin at all. So, and we know with the Jeffrey Epstein situation, Donald Trump loves beautiful women, as he says. You know, they got so many comments about his interaction with the with females. So I just really think they have a relationship, because I was trying to figure out, when did they become friends? And then your body language means a lot. When he looks at Russia, he just seems like he's so in love with Putin. And when he looked at Levinsky, he looked like he could just shoot him. And one more comment. He made a statement in the United Nations address today that he knows how dangerous the nuclear bombs are, and he doesn't want to see children and people killed, and he don't want to designate or get an order to go ahead and drop these nuclear bombs. But yet, did he bomb? I forgot the over there in Iran, Iraq somewhere 3 months ago, and they designated a bomb that it was like really supposed to be kind of like a dummy bomb. Really didn't do much damage, but he did deploy a bomb and brags about it. So this man is insane. He's a lunatic, and I don't understand the Republican Party why they cannot see through Donald Trump and what he's doing. He's trying to bring our democracy down, and the Russians are here in the United States, and they are taking over. They've been here for the last 10 years, and I do think his relationship with Putin goes back to the year 2013. And
well, let me say this.
Let
me say this, and thank you for your call, Scott. I have no effort in me to run down a rabbit hole of Trump's personal life with women. But I do say that his behavior with Putin would lend one to say he's not doing what is in the interest, not only of Ukraine, but his own country. He has normalized Putin to the degree that he went and had a meeting with him in Alaska, which was Putin's objective to be on American soil and be accepted. Now, you got to remember, Putin was put out of NATO for what he did Ukraine before and other abuses. For the United States to accept him on their land and embrace him, which is what Trump did, and then get nothing for it. They were supposed to be having a ceasefire meeting. Putin refused to do it. And he escalated the bombings on Ukraine. So clearly there's some reasons for concerns. I'm not going to go play into the conspiracy theories of whether he, was involved in some illicit behavior or not. I don't have to. I don't need a conspiracy. I'm looking at what happened. You don't need a conspiracy. Just look at what we know. The man normalized Putin coming into the country, and then the man turned around and the man coming in the country, Putin, escalated the war, and Trump has not done anything. Sometimes I think we overprove a point when something's just obvious. And I think it is obvious at best that Trump can't handle Putin. At worst, Putin may have some leverage on him. But the obvious, I think sometimes, Reverend Byrd, we get in our own way by over-approving something or overstating something that we can't establish. We ain't got to prove that Putin gave Trump some women of the night. We ain't have to prove that. It's established fact that Putin played him like he was a con man on 42nd Street.
Yep. And it's very obvious, Reverend Sharpton, that that whole meeting was an utter disaster. It was a PR campaign gone wrong. We literally, as you have just said, we literally got nothing forward. All of these promises, we're going to end this war in the Ukraine. Actually, that was a campaign promise of his. Elect me, I'll end this war in Ukraine in a few days or so. And look at where we are now.
No, he said he would end the war in Ukraine, Gaza, and he would deal with the escalating prices of inflation in the first day.
That's right, day one.
He said day one.
That's right. You're absolutely right, Rev. Day one, he said that. So to have this long red carpet, these two tyrannical leaders shaking hands on American soil in Russia for nothing to come of it is the perfect example of what Donald Trump leadership looks like. It's always a big picture with nothing behind it. Biblically, we would say that meeting was sounding brass and tinkling cymbals.
And that's and when people know that you just go for the photo op and the publicity, that's what they'll do. O.G. Kelly is saying, like always, great show today. Reverend, I look forward to listening tomorrow on Hump Day, Wednesday afternoon. I'll certainly be looking for you. And happiness, what is happiness? Donuts saying, women of the night. Yeah, I did say that.
You did.
And I think she said something before that I wanted to read. But let me, she says, gosh, this hour flies by. Excellent job, producer. Great show. It was a good show, and we'll be back tomorrow with 3 more hours of this. Be ready. Let's talk about it. I love doing the show because I love giving people a national opportunity to express themselves, even if we don't agree. Let's agree to keep talking, and let's agree to keep it real. Keeping it real. Sharpton. We will be back tomorrow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody that Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.